Hey ladies, don't leave us because we're about to talk about negotiating to win. And winning in all your negotiations is how you get what you want.
Absolutely.
Right, Brad?
Absolutely.
So stay tuned. Hi ladies, and welcome back to another episode of Smart Money. You're gonna love the episode we have today. I'm again joined by Brad Nelson. Brad,
Yes. Happy to be here. It's awesome to be
as
back,
always,
as always.
right? Today we have a great topic. We're gonna be talking about negotiating,
Yes.
right?
Awesome.
Getting what you want at what you want to pay for it,
Yes.
right? And the topic, the actual title of the topic is gonna be Negotiate to Win. We want you to win in your negotiations. So we're going to talk about some of the skills, the behaviors, what to do, what not to do, what to expect from the other party. And of course, we're going to be talking about this in a retail environment or a sales environment.
Yep.
We're not going to be
Exactly.
talking about, how to negotiate with your significant other or how to get your kids to do what you want to do, right? Although some of these skills can be used for that.
Absolutely. Negotiations, perfect for a lot of things.
We're gonna talk about it as it pertains to finance and your personal financial health.
Yep.
So let's kick it off. So
Yeah.
what's our first point here, Brad?
Yeah, first, what I want everyone to understand, and sometimes we tend to forget this, is that, everything is up for negotiation. Here in the United States, we tend to think that the price that's listed is the price that you pay, all right? And then sometimes, in these big box retailers, like the Targets and the Walmarts and all of those types of places, it can be the case. But in some of the other cases, like if you go shop for furniture, you're shopping for mattresses, you're shopping obviously for automobiles, obviously homes, in those types of situations, there are things up for negotiation. And really, even at the big box stores, there's been some times where I'll go in for an item and I don't really like the price, and I'll just ask them, can we do any better on the price, or do you have any coupons or any discounts that you're offering today that you can offer? And here's the thing, the worst that they can say is no, all right?
Yeah.
They're not gonna kick you out of the store by any means, but in some cases they have offered it, even if it's 10, 15%. I'll take it, right? But if you just ask, sometimes they have those. Even like at department stores, a lot of times they'll be running these coupon offers for like their preferred members. They'll give those to you if you just ask. They got them sitting right there at the register, and if you just, oops, I forgot my coupon, and just ask them, they'll typically just give you the coupon deal.
Yeah.
So you can definitely ask, and this is negotiation, and that's minor parts of negotiation, but you can definitely do it. But when it comes to regular negotiations, we talked about bigger items, right? Mattresses, automobiles, things like that. The key is that you've got to be patient, and you've got to be out looking for the items that you want to buy. And again, we're gonna go back to that making a plan, right? So rather than you just haphazardly going out one day and buying yourself, getting yourself into a car, or going out and buying new furniture just on a whim, you never had any plans of doing that kind of stuff, we need to stop doing that, and we need to start saying, okay, this year, these are the things that we probably need to look at replacing, or maybe it's not replacing, we just wanna add to our life, right? Like right now, I don't have a dishwasher in my house, and I gotta do the dishes, all right? I would really love to get a dishwasher, but I'm not just gonna go out because I just don't like doing dishes. I wanna go out and make sure that I get the best deal on that dishwasher when I'm ready to buy it. So be patient, right? And then the second part of that is make sure you have cash for those items. Yeah. Cash is so important. And I think you said it good, have liquidity, right?
Yeah.
And that gives you some flexibility when, you're going in there and you have really no cash position whatsoever. The retailer or whoever you're buying those items from holds all the cards in the negotiation, because you obviously probably have to go into debt, which they're offering you. They have the product, which they're gonna offer you, right? You're bringing really nothing to the table. Yeah. So make sure you've got some money. And when you have money, then you can start looking for those deals, and when you find them, you can jump on them. And then that's when you can start what we're gonna do with this negotiation process we're gonna talk about.
Those are two great points, Brad. And I think have the cash on hand is an awesome one. And I think something that, although that means that you had a plan, and that you came up with, you know, some savings to make the purchase that you want to make, it puts you in a great situation.
Yeah.
A lot of these places are offering financing, and we talked about that in another show, and what financing to take control of. But guess what? They're going to use as one of their negotiating points. If I have to finance this for you, I'm certainly not giving you a deal.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yep.
So being liquid makes you very, very powerful in the bargaining situation.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So let's go to the next point. So when you're negotiating a purchase, be sure that you're negotiating with who?
The decision maker, right?
Yeah.
So you got to understand, in some cases, you know, when you go to some of these outlets, these retails, even the car dealership, right? If you're going to buy a car from a car dealer, understand that the salesperson isn't the person you're really negotiating with sometimes. Right, he always has to kind of go quote unquote to that business manager, and then he plays the good cop bad cop thing, right? Where he feels like he's not on your team, all right? They're on the same team, you're on a different team. But make sure you're talking to that decision maker, all right? And sometimes employees are given some leeway as to some of the deals that they're able to offer. But in many cases, if you're looking for an exponentially really good deal, you really got to talk to that person that's the decision maker. So whether that's a manager, maybe it's the owner of the business, someone who's like that, absolutely.
And you don't have to be rude in that request, right? Maybe it's you don't have to say, who's your boss?
Yeah,
right. People don't like to hear that.
Yeah.
Just FYI. But, you know, posing it in a way of like, you know, who can I talk to that can help me with a little wiggle room on this? You know,
absolutely.
I've put away some money that I've saved for this purchase, and you know, it's not within my budget. Is there someone that I could talk to that could perhaps help me out?
Yeah.
And you know, posing it like that, you're going to see better results than, let me talk to someone who can actually do something about this, right?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. That's perfectly put.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the other thing is, you know, when we're going into these stores, all of them have floor models and demos and stuff like that, right? And oftentimes, like you said, the person working the floor doesn't have the, you know, the authority or the power to give you a deal on that, right? And that's not to say that their position for information and assistance is not important, but we need to get to those decision makers. To get the deals.
Right. And you mentioned floor models and things like that. I mean, those are other opportunities that you can take advantage of, right? You know, even like appliance stores, they have like the scratch and dent type sales or things like that. You know, if you're okay with just a small embellishment on some of those things, I mean, you can get some ridiculously low prices, especially if they're wanting to move those items, right? I mean, then if you got some cash on hand, now we're going to start having some fun. And that's when I like to do some of this stuff because, you know, obviously they want to get rid of it, they want to move it, but then I also need the item. And if I can get it at the lowest price possible and they're willing to deal with that, it's a win-win for you. Absolutely,
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, you know, I'm not a big warranty guy. I don't like to buy the warranty. I think it's oftentimes, you know, a scam because a lot of these products are built to last a long time, built to outlast that warranty. But I think also on some of these demo items, I've been in places where they'll give you the warranty for free, just because you're getting a model that may be out of the box. Maybe it doesn't even have a ding on it or a scratch or, you know, a pre-use. Right.
Absolutely.
So that's cool. So how about this next point, Brad? And this is a big one for me. Keep emotions out of it.
Keep emotions out. And you know, we talked about this in impulse buying, right? And emotion is so powerful, and it can overcome you, especially if it's an item that you really, really want. And you got to understand that when you start kind of, let's imagine you're playing cards, right? If you're starting to show your cards to the other player, they're going to have an advantage, right? So you want to make sure that in negotiations, when you're looking at some of these items, you kind of keep your emotions on kind of on the low down. You know, it's okay to be, you know, interested and say, yeah, I really like this. This is cool. You know, I like the features, whatever it is that you're looking at. But don't get so emotional where it comes across like, okay, I know that this person can't live without this item. Because when that happens, they're going to be less willing to make any extra deals with you because they know that you're probably more than likely going to pay that opening price or whatever that list price might be.
Yeah. And these people, they want to make a sale. Right? And when you're going in there and being emotional, right, they know they've got you.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And my wife is gonna, if she's watching, she's gonna hate that I'm telling this story. But you know, I think we did the car buying thing, and a lot of us get very emotional about the ride that we wanna roll around in, right? And when we get in there for the first time, we know the car that we want, and we can't leave that dealership without that car. And sometimes that emotion gets the better of you, right?
It sure does.
You know, but that is not going to help you at the negotiation table.
No, not at all. Not at all. We're going to talk about that here in a little while. What kind of power you need in order to, when you get kind of stonewalled, right? Your negotiations are stopped. You can't get anywhere. What power do you need to keep them going? And we're going to talk about that here in just a little while.
So let's talk about behaviors when we're into this.
Yeah.
What are we trying to do?
Well, we're trying to, in a good negotiation is where each party gets what they want, right? When I talk about negotiation, I don't want to come across like when I negotiate, I try to rip other people off. That's not what we're trying to do, all right? Because I get businesses need to make money. I run my business. I get that people need to make money. So a good negotiation is where each party gets what they want, right? This person earns the money and this person gets whatever the goods and services that they're buying, and each party walks away satisfied and happy. So when you're negotiating, you got to kind of look at it as more of like almost like not a partnership in the sense you're on the same team, but this is someone that you really want to have good communication with, right? So try to match the way they're communicating. And this is just typical kind of like sales type training. So if you're a salesperson, especially obviously you're a pure romance consultant, if your customers are energetic, enthusiastic, right, and they're really excited, then you should try to match that behavior. If they're more passive and they're more quiet, then you should try to match that because you don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. When it comes to negotiations, it's really the same way. You want that other person to feel at ease with you and that they understand you. I get this person type of a mentality, right? You're going to get much further in that, and that is all landing on your shoulders. You have to change based on the person that you're talking to.
So really try to match their enthusiasm
Yeah,
level.
absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So then let's get into the actual negotiation itself, right? Walk this through for me, Brad.
Yeah.
Right? So I walk in, what happens?
So what I typically do is if there's an item, especially that I'm looking for, usually I'll know the list price right away. But to get the conversation started, I'll just ask them, hey, what are you asking for the item? You know, obviously after some introductory type conversation. And as soon as they list the price, I will usually follow that up with, is that the best price you can offer me right now? And then the key is saying nothing at all, silence, all right? So let them say whatever it is that you gotta say, and then just be quiet, okay? You can respond and say, okay, and just leave it at that. And then, you know, continue looking at the item or just really just sit in silence. And here's the key to that. Most people don't like silence. So salespeople, especially most salespeople, they are very talkative people. So guess what? They're gonna fill that void with talking. And sometimes, you know, that void will get you a better deal, right? Them just talking about it will get you a better deal because they'll get sometimes a little uneasy because you're not really saying anything. Oh boy, did they think that price was too high? Am I not gonna get this sale? I have a quota to meet. I really need to get this. Let them feel uneasy a little bit about it, right? And the other alternative is some people tend to talk too much, right? So they'll start negotiating with themselves. And, you know, especially if you're really excited about the item. And that gets dangerous again, because that starts to reveal your cards in your hand. You don't want to do that. So the key in all negotiations is really just trying to be as silent as possible when it comes to your emotion and your feelings on the price. And let it stew a little bit with them and see where that gets you. And I guarantee you, in most cases, it's going to get you closer to where you want to be.
Yeah, and I think a point to note in that is, like, if you are being silent and the other person's being completely silent as well, either one, they're probably not a salesperson.
Yeah.
And two, they're probably not the decision maker.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
So that can be a good indication of maybe this is the person that I shouldn't be, that I don't need to be talking to. Like we talked about earlier, then find a really a congenial way to get to that decision
absolutely.
maker.
Yep,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
So let's talk about this silence.
Yeah.
Right? I think that intrigues me. Like, you know, talk a little bit more about, like, why are we trying to be silent?
Well, again, you know, there's uncomfortableness with silence, especially when you're in that type of a transaction, especially after someone just tells you the price that they're selling an item for. Because again, that's gonna help, that's gonna start getting them to think, okay, is he being silent because he thinks the price is too high? Am I, do I need to lower my price? It really gives them an opportunity to think about what they just said. Yeah. And if you decide to start talking, if you decide to start, talking about that price, and you say, oh, that's not a bad price, don't do that, because then now we're just, and again, talking gets you
rationalize that price
exactly
right there in front of that salesperson.
Exactly, right. You're basically, again, negotiating with yourself, and silence is key. Again, it really is going to do you more favors than if you start talking and opening your mouth. And again, I'm one who likes to talk. I do, and it's hard for me sometimes just to, I just got to be quiet. Let them just be uncomfortable for this for a little while. And again, we're not talking about, I don't want you to sit there in 10 minutes in silence and just be staring at each other, right? But give it a good 30 seconds, give it a minute. And this gives you time to contemplate too. What's your next move? What are you willing to pay for this item? And sometimes if you're too quick to that punchline, sometimes you can pay more for that item than you really had to.
And I really think like that silence is abnormal behavior. Most people are going to roll right into what you were talking about, kind of having the out loud conversation. I think it puts that salesperson on notice too, that like he's ready to walk away. He or she's ready to walk away from the sale. Yep. And they want to make a sale, right? Yeah. So they're going to go through the other experiences that they've had with other customers. What's the lowest price that I have gone to? What, all these conversations they're having in their mind.
Right. Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
Let's talk about something else that, especially for our consultants, do sometimes, and that is really bartering.
Yeah, barter for items, and I find this to be a great way to get what you need if you don't want to pay a full price for an item, or even pay cash for an entire item altogether. So if you have goods and services, obviously which you do, you have Pure Romance products. So I've talked to consultants that will barter sometimes for nails or getting their hair done on occasion, things like that. And that's a really good way to get some of the items that you're looking for at times. Even in some cases, I've heard of consultants hiring assistants, and they pay them with actual product. Again, that's all negotiation. That's all part of negotiation. So bartering can be a good way to get the items that you're looking for. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I would just add to that too, is think in dollars when you're in this bartering situation, right? Think about the retail price of the product that you're considering in the barter. Think about the retail price or the price that they would charge for the good or service on their end, and make those match up. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. Don't discount it.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just a finger in the wind kind of deal. You can put dollars to each one of these and make sure that it's matching up, so that both people are getting something of equal or similar value.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Let's also talk about the next thing in the negotiation process, Brad. And I think this is one that most people struggle with the most.
Yep, absolutely.
Is there a time where you just got to walk away?
Absolutely, yes.
Right?
And this is the power that I was talking about earlier, is that you essentially in the negotiation, when you're on the consumer side, you really do hold all of the cards, essentially, okay? I mean, you have the decision. You're the one that's making the decision. So if you go through this negotiation process and you just can't get to that agreement, you kind of hit that brick wall, the power of walking away is tremendous, all right? One, you walk away from a deal that maybe isn't just best fitted for you. You didn't get the deal you wanted. It's okay. We'll just walk away. All right. Sometimes people don't want to do that because they are sold on this idea that this is a once in a lifetime deal. You're never going to get this offer ever, ever, ever again. I got to tell you, that is just not the truth. That's a very, very tiny, tiny percentage of ever that happening, right? Where you're not going to be able to get a good deal like that again. Yeah. So, but walking away does a tremendous amount of time, tremendous amount of things for you. It gives them time to think, that salesperson, right? So in some situations, I've walked away and I've said, you know what, this really isn't what I want to spend. It's not the best deal. So I'm going to give it some thought. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to maybe go look some other places and see what's out there. Here's my information. If you change your mind or you can offer me a better deal, just let me know. And that's not a slap in the face. That's just, hey, I've got a plan of how much money I want to spend on this, and we're just not there. All right, and now you're going to give them the opportunity to really consider it and think about it. And if over the next couple of days they're not able to move whatever said product it is, maybe they will move on it, right? Mm-hmm. But if they don't, that's okay too, because another deal will come.
Yep.
But if you don't keep that emotion in check, this walking away power it's gone. You don't have it anymore.
Yeah, and I think I love the walking away power, and having that plan and having the cash in hand gives you that ability, right? There's only a couple of situations, really, Brad, that come to my mind where you won't have that ability to walk away. Number one, an ambulance ride.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So if it's an emergency, you don't have that walk away power. But there's very few things like that in life where you shouldn't be in a situation where I don't need this thing today.
Yeah.
Now, if you're wounded and you need care, pay whatever they're charging you to get in the ambulance to get to the ER.
Yeah.
But most situations aren't emergencies.
No.
Right?
No.
So I think that's great. That's really good.
Did you know,
advice.
by the way, it's funny you bring up ambulance services. You can negotiate hospital services if it's a known thing you've got coming up.
Yeah.
Start shopping it around. Obviously, if you've got insurance, you're going to want to look for, obviously, who insures you. But you can call if you've got cash in hand. I've heard of people calling and negotiating even, births and things like that. I mean, this negotiation stuff really does work all over the place.
Yeah. That's great advice.
Yeah.
So we know this negotiating thing takes practice. Before we close this segment, Brad, let's talk about why don't people negotiate? What is the hesitation?
Yeah.
Right? Because I get this feeling sometimes there is a hesitation to kind of have that discussion with a salesperson.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, there's embarrassment, or maybe you, like we talked about, maybe it's ego-driven, right? Mm-hmm. Sarah hates it. When I go do the negotiation stuff, we'll sit and look at the product, we'll talk, but as soon as the decision maker comes over, Sarah just starts walking away. I'm like, where are you going? I was like, you need to be a part of this because you need to help me decide on some of this. She's like, I just don't like to be there for it. It makes me nervous. and it's just, I don't feel that way, right? Yeah. And again, I'm looking at it as, I want to get this for the best price possible. And if I'm able to negotiate for it, I'm going to. And everywhere else you go in the world, I've been outside of the country. I'm not a world traveler by any means, but been down to Mexico, been to Jamaica, been to some of the islands, and you can negotiate for everything down there, everything. They will literally negotiate for the shirt off your back. But just here in the States, it's just not looked at it that way. It's looked at it as, kind of a negative thing. But negotiations are happening all over the place. I was telling Chris when we were getting ready to film this segment, negotiations happen all the time between businesses and businesses. It happens all the time. When I used to work in the sign business, we would negotiate almost every single quote we did for signs. It would happen all the time.
Business to
it
business.
It is.
More things are a negotiation than not.
Absolutely. Right. And I think the reason why so much of the reason why we've gotten away from this is because of debt. We've been sold low monthly payments, and all we look at it is, we can get this low monthly payment to only pay for this item, and we forget the fact that power of what real cash can bring you. Mm-hmm. And just having some good practice in negotiation. You can get a really sweet deal if you can plan for it.
Yeah. Those are great points, Brad. And I think the ego does come into
Absolutely,
it, right?
Yeah.
And you can come off, maybe some people feel like, hey, I make enough money to pay full price for this, and I'm going to showboat, I'm going to put that out there. That's one thing. But I will tell you ladies and everyone else watching is, once you go through a negotiation and you get what you want and you do it properly, you walk away with this high.
Yeah,
right?
It's empowering.
It really is empowering, and you can walk away and say, you know what? Even if maybe you don't get to the deal, hey, you gave it your best shot, and I'm paying what I should pay for this product or service, right?
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to add that at the end because I think it's important to have that feeling every once in a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So, ladies, we're going to close this episode of Smart Money out. Negotiate to win. We hope you're out there winning in all your negotiations, right, Brad?
Absolutely, yes.
Get out there and win it. Wish you best of luck in your businesses. Take care, and thanks for stopping in and watching this episode. We appreciate it.
So I want you to get absolutely jacked up for your life. You got to get jacked up for your dreams. You got to take all that anger, all that stress, all that fear that you have when it comes to your debt, and you got to pack it into every single punch that you can throw at this thing, and you got to give it everything that you have got, because it is time to give your debt the biggest ass kicking that it has ever received.
Hello, ladies. We're here again with Brad Nelson from Balanced Sense. We wanted to come and talk to you a little bit about his class called Roots. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your class?
Absolutely. Roots of Personal Finance is really the best personal finance course that any pure romance consultant can really take. This is an 8-week program that's really going to walk you through every step of turning your finances around. We're going to cover topics like behavior, budgeting, how to save, how to eliminate your debt. That's really going to help you turn around your personal finances. And along with the online course, we are going to do weekly live meetups where you're going to get an opportunity to speak with me personally and also meet with other pure romance consultants across the United States. Not only that, but if you're not comfortable participating in live meetups, you can have an opportunity to do one-on-one coaching with me to talk about your situation personally. We have a Facebook group page where we have a ton of activity happening day in and day out, not only helping in your personal finances, but also helping your pure romance business. And that really leads me to one of really the class favorites, is how to make money with your pure romance business. So we're going to show you how to ensure that you're making money with your business by understanding how to budget, understanding how to maybe set up an emergency fund for your business, how to set goals to make sure that you are making money with your business.
And I can vouch for this, ladies. I've seen some of the reviews from people who have been in the last class, and they're amazing, right? People setting up their first emergency fund, people getting out of debt already, people taking control of their finances. And we've enlisted Brad's help to create this class. I helped you create part of the Pure Romance class, so we're really excited about it. Look forward to it coming out. Look at the website, check it out, take control of your own finances. Thank you.